Let me start with what we heard yesterday at this IIF forum in Washington, D.C. We saw a very relaxed-seeming Treasury Secretary with some confidence that we are going to see an administration proposal very soon. What's your sense of the timetable right now?
Sure. I mean, David, it's very hard to know right now how close we are to tax reform. What we do know is that the White House is not backing down from saying that it will be completed before the end of the year. They have backtracked a bit because initially Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and others had been shooting for an August deadline. Now it seems that they're more committed to just getting it done before the end of the year. But of course, there are skeptics out there who are dubious that that can happen since it is such a massive ask.
There are skeptics out there. What are the other challenges that this administration faces advancing or pushing for the advancement of tax reform?
Sure. I mean, take your pick, David. First, you have the controversial concept known as border-adjusted taxes. That's part of the House Republican plan, and what it would do would essentially tax imports while exempting exports. Republicans don't even have the full support of all of their members on board, and it's unclear where the White House stands. And the reason the border-adjusted tax is so important is because it's expected to generate about $1 trillion in revenue. So you need that revenue to offset tax cuts and to help make tax reform permanent. So without it, you'll be hard-pressed to find other ways to come up with the revenue. The other big challenge is healthcare. Where are we on that? And if, since there are tax cuts that are part of the healthcare bill, if that fails, it's unclear if that $1 trillion in tax cuts will be part of a larger tax package later this year.
I was talking to our colleague Kevin Streely there about the financial regulation components of these executive actions today. Let's drill down on what the president's planning to do here when it comes to tax. What is that particular executive action going to make happen?
Sure. When it comes to tax rules, the president is directing Treasury Secretary Mnuchin to look at all tax regulations from 2016 and 2017 to review if they're placing any unnecessary burdens on American taxpayers, if they're overly complex, or if they're just not allowed under the law. And it remains to be seen, but we think that he may be targeting specifically corporate inversions or debt equity rules that took effect last year.
Just last question here is we've been operating on the assumption that the sort of Ryan Brady plan or blueprint is where the starting point is. What do we expect to see from the administration? Is it a whole plan unto itself? Is it going to be an addendum or changes to the Ryan Brady plan? What can we expect from the White House?
We really just don't know at this point, David. It's a really good question. It's what everyone is waiting to see. Obviously, the House has its blueprint, and they're trying to push it. They released it in June, but we still just don't know how closely a White House plan will hew to that House GOP blueprint.